Welcome to another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. Today we're going to deal with some of the crimes committed. Actually, we're going to zero in on one particular one. But I want you to just bear with me. In the beginning, you might wonder where I'm going. But it will all come to light at the end. So sit back, relax, put on your listening ear, and wait for me when I return after this break.
Mount Pure natural mineral water begins as rainfall, which percolates through the untouched rainforest and rocks of the Royal River Mountain. This natural filtration system protects the water from pollution, giving us a unique collection of minerals from the natural underground artesian aquifer. The water then flows naturally to the surface under pressure without pumping. As it reaches the surface, it is directly piped and bottled at our processing facility. We ensure that the water stays pure and safe, so that it is ready for you to enjoy the excellent taste and natural health benefits. Not all water can make the grade when it comes to natural mineral water. Mount Pure offers a consistent composition and purity, so we can tell you exactly what you are drinking. Mount Pure guarantees you a perfect taste every time. Don't say water, say Mount Pure. Taste the difference. Enjoy the benefits.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode. Welcome back. The editorial of the weekly print media, well, not really we print anymore, it's online newspaper, The New Today, dated Friday the 18th of August 2023, headlined, Rethink the Strategy. It kind of jolted me a bit because, of the paper itself, the editor, the editorials, they lean to one side, and so I was curious as to what that meant. So I took a read, and was shocked and was surprised. So I want to share a portion of that with you. Listen carefully. Okay? Let me just pull it up there. The call by a former top officer in the Royal Grenada Police Force, RGPF, for a relook of the current, the technology and the modern technology, it just disappeared on my device here. Okay. So I'll start over. The call by a former top officer of the Royal Grenada Police Force, RGPF, for a relook of the current operations of the Criminal Investigation Department, CID, should not be allowed to fall on deaf ears. The ex-senior cop is correct in his analysis of what should be done to help put the CID in a much better place to arrest the recent upsurge of criminal activities on the island. especially the murder cases. The problem lies in the top echelon of the police force, as most of the members of the high command do not have the experience to know or the know-how to effectively deal with the situation. It is sad that not one member of the high command has any experience of serving as head of the CID and can provide some kind of guidance to his other colleagues at the high level of the force. The closest among them is acting ACP Vanny Cohen, who has experience as a police prosecutor, but never operated within the CID orbit among the previous top crime fighters. The lack of a senior police officer with CID investigative knowledge and training within the high command should be of concern, and the Prime Minister, as Minister of National Security, Deacon Mitchell, and his National Security Advisor, William Thompson, should relook this as a matter of urgency. It is also of concern that the current head of the operations of the RGPF has no track record in crime fighting and definitely faces a deficit in coming up with the strategy thinking that is needed at this crucial point in time. Even the current acting commissioner of police, Don McKenzie, has his own limitations when it comes to the area of crime, as he spent most of his years serving at the Richmond Hill Prison and also at the Grenada Port Authority. The idea of bringing back Superintendent of Police Kenneth Gill and other experienced officers of the CID in light of the current situation to help solve the recent crimes, especially those 5 or 6 murders in the past 8 to 10 weeks, should not be thrown out the door. The New Today would also like to suggest to Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell and his National Security Advisor, as well as members of the Police High Command, that they need to look at ways of tapping into the experience of those previous crime fighters with an impressive track record. RGPF can arrest the situation if they pool available resources inside the country to come up with a different strategy to get desired results. I'll stop here. It's online, as I said. You can go in and read the rest, follow up on and continue. But that portion is important, and I hope you listen and bear it in mind as I continue. In the same edition of the editorial that I just read, there's an article backing up the headline on the front page that I want to read some snippets of for you as well. And I quote, "Police are getting positive leads in Egmont killing suggested that with the help of the security camera footage, and the security camera footage, and according to a high-ranking member of the Royal Grenada Police Force, the RGPF, confirmed, and I quote, that the lawmen are leaning, in the direction that the incident could be part of a family feud, and that the hitman was contracted to get rid of Linton Warwood. Now, this is not me speaking here. This is an article in the New Today online newspaper. That of Linton Warwood, the owner of the house at Egmont. Again, quoting from the New Today. Dead is 13-year-old Devon Thomas of Paradise in St. Andrew. Thomas is the brother-in-law of Warwood, estranged wife, Sharida, who was reportedly not at home during the incident. And I'll read that last part again. Who was reportedly not at home during the shooting incident. Now remember, this information, according to the writer, came from the camera footage, security camera footage, and a high-ranking officer. So I hope you're following thus far. Quoting again, the masked gunman who entered the property also shot and injured Warwood. End of quote. Continue. Again, quoting from the rag, the New Today cannot share some of the critical information now in the hands of the investigator. Listen well, they can't share. To avoid compromising the case. However, the initial bullet that was fired by the gunman was intended to assassinate Warwood, but missed the target and took out the life of Thomas, who was standing just behind. Remember, all of this comes from the camera and the high command officer, the high ranking officer in the force. Moving right along. This incident that I'm speaking about here, that the newspaper spoke of, it happened on Monday, the 14th of August, 2023. That was Carnival Monday. On Saturday, the 19th of August, an article in the Trinidad Express revealed that the hit at the home of Warwood in Egmont had to do with an ongoing gang-related saga of 14 years. Two gang leaders and a saga of 14 years. One in jail and one outside out doing his own thing, of course. Now, according to the Trinidad Express, the individual ordered the hit from behind bar, right, on the gang member that is outside, free. According to the article in the Express, the Trinidad Express, the gang leader that's outside was at the house in Egmont where the incident happened, and so the hit was ordered. Again, according to the article of the Trinidad Express, the hit left the person, the individual that the hit was ordered on, had left the home of Mr. Warwood just before the attack. And of course, we all know by now, left one man dead and one injured. On the 20th of August, so that was on the 19th, that article, the Trinidad Express article came out. On the 20th of August, a press release from the New Today posted, headline read, "Major breakthrough in Egmont shooting." Again, the writer made it clear that he had a conversation, or she had a conversation with the police, whom at this point had not made any sort of statement to us, to the nation, to the people, on this whole incident. But he's been getting first-hand information, or she been getting first-hand information, speaking to high-ranking officers, right? And don't forget, the camera initially told them, according to the camera and the high-ranking police, and the hit was supposed to be on Warwood, and it missed him and hit the guy right behind him and all of that. I'm assuming they saw it on the camera, or else that would not be put out there like that. Now, this whole statement on the 20th was put out after the Trinidad Express put out theirs on the 19th. On the 20th, hooray, there's a break in the case, a major breakthrough in the Egmont shooting. The article from the New Today reported that the police, the Grenada police, have made a significant breakthrough in the deadly shooting on Carnival Monday in Egmont, same as the Express. In another press release from the New Today, headlined, "Injured Warwood flies out to USA for needed treatment," suggested that Ward left the country on the 19th of August for the United States, where he lives, to receive medical treatment. Quoting from the release, the New Today release, "The departure of Warwood," and I want you to listen to this carefully, "The departure of Warwood comes as the Royal Grenada Police Force, the RGPF, is about to make major changes in the composition of the Criminal Investigation Department, the CID, which is spearheading the investigation into the fatal shooting incident. In the face of criticisms that the present composition of the CID is one of the weakest in years." And right after that, the blame game began. And I'll read that part of it for you. But I'm here and I'm thinking, with an NDC administration in office, with NDC hierarchies in position at the top of the force. We all know we had people being forced out, people being demoted, perceived NNP supporters within the force being demoted, forced out. We have some who took early retirement because of the treatment meted out. And you wonder how it is that the NNP, the leader of the opposition and his colleagues, and some of the NNP, perceived NNP supporters that was within the force, are being blamed now for the low rate of solving the crimes lately. And I'm going to read to you what exactly was said. Quoting from the New Today release dated the 19th of August, 2023. And I want you to listen to this. A former staffer of the CID pointed an accusing finger at the former New National Party NNP administration of Dr. Keith Mitchell for the present weakness in the investigative process of the department. No, I had to laugh. And if you notice, go back over the past year and some, anything that the NDC cannot get through with, anything they're having problems with, anything that is negative against them, they blame the NNP. But when they take, and when the NNP projects and different programs are doing well, and they got rating, but remember, government is continuous. So the government of Grenada, which is now the NDC administration, collects the ratings, the high and good ratings. They say nothing about NNP being responsible for such ratings. No, it's transformation at work. It's boots on the ground. But anytime there's some negativity, something negative, here comes the comparison. And look at what NNP is doing. And it's the NNP to blame. I continue. And I quote. So let me go back a little that you don't get distracted. So the administration of the Keith Mitchell was blamed for the present weakness of the investigative process of the department. It continued saying that some members, and I'm quoting here, some members of the previous high command of the RGPF who were non-supporters of the NNP had deliberately dismantled CID by transferring the best detectives out of CID because of politics. And now murders are unsolved. So they transfer detectives out of the CID, I guess, throughout the force. Some might have, I think, reached retirement age and left. And you came into office and you left your best detectives outside of the CID and now blaming the NNP for the unsolved cases. Stick a pin. You just stick a pin right there. Go back to what my investigation, and you know I don't just sit down, so it took me days to investigate this. Right, let's go. So my investigation just let me put it up here. Gave me some statistics. In 2018, 13 homicides, 13 solved. 13 homicides, 13 solved. 12 solved in 2018 and one a couple of years later. 100% solved rate. In 2019, 16 homicides, 16 solved, 100% solved rate. In 2020, 17 homicides, 15 solved, Two matters still outstanding, at 88.24% solved rate. In 2021, 6 homicides, 6 solved, 100% solved rate. In 2022, 10 homicides, 10 solved, 100% solved rate. A total of 96.77% solved rate from the year 2018 to 2022. And you're blaming now the NNP for the 5 to 6 or so cases that are unsolved. They are not even done yet. Maybe, you could solve it. I guess there were ones that were solved easily because it happened. People saw it happen. Who stabbed who. The ones like John T. and the teacher gentleman in Telescope, and the farmer that was found on his farm, and the one with the man by the key in Field. Those we're not hearing anything about, and we don't expect them to be solved today for tomorrow. No, but do not try to blame the NNP. That is utter nonsense, and it is what I would call wicked, according to the Trinity. Wickedness to do such a thing. Forgetting what your editorial said earlier on. Poor strategy. Rethink your strategy. And your strategy was to put perceived NDC supporters within the RGPF at the top. Rethink your strategy. Now, this is the same weekly, as I said, in its editorial, asking the NDC administration to rethink its strategy on the advice of an ex-senior cop and his analysis that the top echelon of the police force at the moment do not have the experience or the know-how to effectively deal with the crime situation. The top echelon, that is the NDC administration, that the NDC administration put in place when they took office. It is, to finish quoting, it is sad, and that was in the editorial, that not one member of the high command has experience of serving as head of the CID and can provide some kind of guidance to his other colleagues in the high level of the force. Now, does that sound familiar? Everybody in experience. One can help the other. Does it sound like the cabinet of Grenada, of the country at the moment? And why we in this position we in? The question is, who created the new high command? Was it the NNP that put the hierarchy now in place? Who put them there? So now we politicizing crime. We don't politicize the carnival. We're going to politicize the police force. And, well, that was done politicized. But we politicizing crime because NNP is responsible for the crimes not being solved. When NNP is begging to help, offering their services, to come together with the government, the churches, with whoever, to help solve the crime. The carnival, they don't want NNP supporters around. I mean, we were just probably the first casualties, but they had a lot of others who were custom helping with the carnival, who was boldly and plainly told that services are not needed, and some just didn't hear from them. All as a result of partisan politics. that we are going through this turmoil, this crisis that the country is facing, and not just with crime. In every aspect, the public service. If you speak to most of the ordinary public servants, I'm talking about PSs and so, they are demoralized because of this NNP and NDC thing. The divide is destroying our nation. I'm going to read to you a release. And that is what made me do this program today. This is another release put out by the RAG. And that is what made me do this program today. And it reads, let's big up ASP Ryan Hall and his team for the work done in making a significant breakthrough in the deadly shooting incident at Egmont on Carnival Monday. Now, the breakthrough is they arrested the getaway car driver. I don't know if he brought them there as well, but the car that was sitting outside the gate of the property in Egmont that was seen on the surveillance camera that we heard nothing of in the beginning until the Express put out the article and we have our breakthrough. The ASP showed that if he is given the room and place to work in the field and not be bogged down with too much administrative work, the CID can crack all the recent unsolved murder cases in the country. NDC folks, don't be fooled, because there are a few rogue cops in RGPF who support a particular party and will always put party before the country. These nastiness were hoping that the latest homicide in the country remain unsolved in order to make the government of Deacon Mitchell look bad and inefficient. The NDC government needs to become more wise and face up to the reality that certain elements within the RGPF are at work and cooperating to the fullest with political operatives on the outside. Get to know them and deal with them appropriately. Here comes what it is all about: vindictive victimization, that's not happening fast enough for some of these NDC operatives. And that everybody, NNP or perceived NNP, should starve to death or be banished on some island somewhere. And we say we want to come together, let's put all hands on deck. We're talking about inclusion. Huh? And when the election is over, the Prime Minister said in the Parliament he didn't drink yellow blood. All these fancy things. I continue. And I asked the question, is the homicide solved? Because the police did not tell us so. Is the crime solved? Do we have the gunmen in lockup? And were they arrested and charged? Were the people for the actual murder? Because what we have and heard, what I heard from the news is that the young man they picked up that was driving, he was charged for what we would call aiding and abetting, and for an attempted murder and murder. Do we have the gunmen, have the CID, were they able to connect the dots between what they saw on the camera and what happened? And so it's able to, do they have a story? Because they're not telling us anything, but we're asking, do they have a story as to what exactly happened? Was it, as we heard earlier on, from looking at the footage and from a high-ranking cop, is it still family feud? Or is it what the Trinidad Express said, that it's an ongoing saga between two gang members? Which one is it? Which one is it? From the same newspaper. We want to know which one. Which officer was correct? Or is it the same officer you speak to? You didn't come back and say, well, they made a mistake and they thought it was a family feud, but it is. Which is it? Or do we even believe that the news came from a police officer? Folks, any officer, whether it's an NNP or an NDC supporter, because there's nothing wrong. Everybody supports a party. We know that. They just vote. What do you think they're going to the poll to do? They just vote. And they must have a choice. And they're allowed to have a choice according to the constitution of the country. So they can choose. Whether NNP or NDC, do you think that they would destroy the force? Do you think that they would sit and say, I'm an NNP supporter, I'm an NDC supporter, and I would not help and do my best in trying to solve the crimes of this country? I highly doubt. I highly doubt. We have heard of instances, and I know of a few who I spoke to who have exited the force since June 2022. They left. They felt marginalized. When you have words coming as, look at that nastiness and all these names being called, and they took early retirement. Young, I know officers in his late 30s, was it like our early 40s, who took early retirement. He worked in the CID. And when the NDC came into office, they removed Acting Superintendent Gill. Assistant Superintendent, you call it. Now Superintendent. They removed him, who was in charge of the CID. They removed him. He worked under the Dunbar, Superintendent Dunbar, who was transferred to the Eastern Division. And they removed him and transferred him to the Eastern because I think Superintendent Dunbar retired. And then now they're asking for him to come back. That's like the contractors, they run from Mornay, and now they have to bring them back. Now they're asking for him to return to help. And I'm sure if they bring him back to the CID, he will come back. Perceived NNP. Stop blaming the NNP for your incompetence. You mess it up, fix it. Stop. Stop the NNP, the NDC. If NNP do this, NDC, stop it. You holding the wheel. Hold on and drive. You have not left. You did not leave off yet. Because you saw studying who was driving before. Okay, you clean, you sanitize. What next? You check the engine, you change tires. Move on. Move on. And so I take this chance to congratulate the Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell, in reaching out to the opposition members, asking to come on board to help with the crime situation. He wants everybody on board, and rightly so, we all, civilians, publics, of whoever, as a people, so we must be vigilant to come on board and help with the crime, because we were known as the safest island in the Caribbean. And so now we need to keep that standard. And we're not blaming anybody for what's happening. There's this spat of these things sometimes. But you have to be able to solve. That's what we say. We're not blaming NBC for the crime. No. So most of them were some of them are family related, these things happen. We have to deal with our anger management among our youth. And we have to deal with the mental situation, of course, with our young ones as well. So, yes, that's where you come in as an administration. So I congratulate the Prime Minister, but I want to ask the Prime Minister, don't be ashamed. Ask for help when it comes to managing as well. Bad as it is, we were managed. Yeah, we know all about the accusations of corruption and whatever. And the Prime Minister, the ex-Prime Minister himself says, no one is perfect. And he admits he went down some wrong holes. And we all know them. But are we going to be stuck in the past? Or are we going to move on? Are we going to move on, move forward, as you said? You promise us we're moving forward. So please, we're begging, we're going into our second year. Please, let's move forward. Take a quick break and come right back.
Mount Pure natural mineral water begins as rainfall, which percolates through the untouched rainforest and rocks of the Royal River Mountain. This natural filtration system protects the water from pollution, giving us a unique collection of minerals from the natural underground artesian aquifer. The water then flows naturally to the surface under pressure without pumping. As it reaches the surface, it is directly piped and bottled at our processing facility. We ensure that the water stays pure and safe so that it is ready for you to enjoy the excellent taste and natural health benefits. Not all water can make the grade when it comes to natural mineral water. Mount Pure offers a consistent composition and purity, so we can tell you exactly what you are drinking. Mount Pure guarantees you a perfect taste every time. Don't say water, say Mount Pure. Taste the difference. Enjoy the benefits.
Welcome back. It's hard to bust a sweat. So I have some questions that the people would like answers to. And you know, I get so much calls from people with issues, people who want answers. It's amazing. And this didn't only just happen. It happened when I did the Heartbeat program for the NDC as well. For 5 years, yeah. I was Sister Jenny then. I must have said that before on this program. But yeah, I did the Heartbeat program for 5 years on radio. Is it true the living boyfriend of the Minister of the Environment, who has a very lucrative, full-time, very lucrative job at the St. George's University, now also is on the payroll of the government of Grenada? I say he might as well, because he travels with her on government business when she goes on government business. Is it true the same individual applied for a CES loan and when turned down, the minister picked up the phone and told the person in charge, the senator then in charge, all about his mother? It is also being said, so we need to know if it is true that that was one of the reasons the senator was removed from his position and sent into his constituency to work, as they say. The senator, when removed, was said he was removed because he was not given enough NDC supporters the CES money. The final question is, did the individual receive the monies after the senator was removed? They're just asking. And it came from constituents, the St. John's constituency. Is it true? The people wants to know. Through, Simon says, when is the government with the fifth investigation? And they want to know if it is true that a sitting minister received jobs from the faith organization when the NNP was in office and was paid by faith. Now, what is that minister has the biggest mouth when it comes to faith? All have to do with his constituency and the minister accused in the same constituency who whooped him in the last election. They just need to know. Because, lest we forget, the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture was on a radio station speaking to the public when he said some person or persons would make jail. Look who talking. You're too funny. And is it true? Is it true that the now manager, the general manager of the Postal Corporation is incompetent, and one staff member who probably should have been the general manager is now being given the position of deputy general manager, a position made just for that purpose. Deputy general manager, so the job could get done, is and that was appointed by the board as far as I understand. Has the board lost confidence in the gentleman? Is it him who told the lady at the stadium the board lost confidence in her? It seems like the boards are losing a lot of confidence. The people wants to know if that general manager, first of all, they want to know who owns the post office. Because the general manager now was heard, even in the last campaign, asking the question on platform, who owned the post office? And me, being a former NDC on radio, was told that Gregory Boyd owns the post office. A gentleman named Gregory Boyd owns the post office. So the people is asking now, the general manager, if he's been employed by Mr. Gregory Boyd, or would he tell the public, tell the Grenadian people, who owns the post office? Is it true that the advisor that was hired by the Spicemas Corporation never did a day's work? And not his fault. Because the Spicemas Corporation was then told that they don't want him around. The minister, the line minister responsible said he's an NNP and they don't want him around. So he just breezed through a few months and collected checks. Is it true? It's art. So we know the Prime Minister is not living in the state-owned Prime Minister's residence, and that he lives in a mansion on the hill in the south with a panoramic view. It was said that the state-owned Prime Minister's residence was in a deplorable condition and that it needed renovations. But is it true that the Prime Minister had to wait 7 months for the property where he's now living to be renovated as well? So the question is, couldn't that the Prime Minister's residence up at Mount Weldale or where you call that, Sanssouci? I'm not sure what's the name of that area there, but it's up in that road, in Sanssouci, up there. Couldn't he wait 7 months while the Prime Minister's residence be renovated and now live there, what we might call rent-free? Is it true? But before I continue, I want you to listen to a clip where a transformer described why the Prime Minister should not live in that residence, the state-owned Prime Minister's residence.
Folks, we bring to any situation in life that we ourselves are in, who we are, our standard and quality. And if we have none, we will bring that too. We have had lots of low-class people with access to social media who feel Mount Royal is fit for a Prime Minister to reside in as it is. You should ask the government to let you stay there because it is vacant now. That place has for years outlived its usefulness. Has any of you who are today talking about the current Prime Minister's decision to not relocate to that Labast, overlooking Darbo, Mount Rush, River Road, Queen's Park, taken an objective look at it to see if you have a dog, that you really love, that you would allow to live there right now as it is? What obtained prior to June 23rd, 2022 may have been suited for that place. But since the commencement of transformation, it is obsolete. The entire grounds are always overgrown, as if to indicate that beasts live there. So you have to hunt for them. Ha, ha, ha. As we say, joke day. Anyone who knows the humble man that our current Prime Minister is, you would know that he's also classy. And his successes as a lawyer support his high standard of living and quality of life. Even though he lived on St. John's Street, a building he owns, necessity and practicality contributed to him electing to live there as a private citizen. Of course, the high quality of the internal environment made it pleasing to him and his children. He is now the Prime Minister, and for security reasons, it is not practical for him to continue to live there. That is an undisputed fact. If you have your nice environment living in all the time, for reasons that are convenient to you, but you are in a similar position to the current Prime Minister elected to office, would you mindlessly relocate to a broth house? A house where intelligence tells you all sorts of unsavory things used to go on, and for many years? You gotta be out of your cotton-picking mind. Apart from that, when you see where this place is and what it has come to since after Sir Eric's years of living there, government should have parted ways with that location a long time now. I recall saying years ago, and only recently repeated, that no individual citizen should outclass the residences of our Governor General and our Prime Minister.
As humble as our Prime Minister is, he shouldn't live in a place where he's overlooking Mount Rush and River Road. Mount Rush and River Road didn't take part in the elections. That's a question I have. Anybody could answer that for me, please. Did the people of Mount Rush and River Road take part in the elections? Did any of these people vote for the National Democratic Congress, might I ask? Cindy Daughter, you might be able to answer that question. Did any of the people in Mount Rush and River Road vote for the NDC? Because now the Prime Minister can't live in no place overlooking Mount Rush and River Road. Sorry, he has too much class for that. And, my dear people, if it are overgrown bush, cut the bush. If there are overgrown bushes, cut the bush. But the people wants to know if the property on the hill is costing the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique 24,000 EC dollars monthly. That's the real question coming from the people. Folks, I'm going to leave you with one. Where is the press secretary? I leave you with that food for thought. It's a wrap on Simon Says. Thank you for joining Simon Says again for another episode. Keeping them honest. See you next week, same time, same place. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.